Who are you without the narrative you tell yourself? Beautiful. Beautiful. Who are you without the narrative that you tell yourself? That is so nice. That is the question here. Who are you without the narrative that you tell yourself? So, when I lived in Australia, I learned a little bit about the Aboriginal culture, but very little. I really don't know much about it. But one thing that I learned, and I think that it was made into a film as well, was that a lot of the Aborigine communities, the way they used to navigate their environment was through songs. So they would sing in order to be able to navigate, because you know that a lot of Aborigines were nomads, so they travelled. I think it tended to be around a similar area, but with the seasons and with when the food was there. Yeah. And I thought, that is so freaking beautiful that you sing your environment. So their maps were in song. I mean, isn't that so beautiful? Imagine how your environment would look if you knew it through songs. So not through stories, but through songs. So what is very strong in European culture, and in all cultures now, but is that we were storytellers. And we told the narrative of our environment and ourself through stories. So rather than songs in the Australian Aborigine community, we narrated stories to each other, which is also equally beautiful. So we passed on information through stories, and then eventually we began to write it in books, and then we had the definition of story like a novel, and then we wouldn't call science a story, but in a way we are communicating science through storytelling. Like we're teaching it through storytelling. Like it is in a way a story. Like everything that we interact with is a story. Like I sit on a chair and I enjoy the comfort of the chair. This is a story that we're telling. And we're trained in particular stories and in particular narratives. So in novels and TV, a very popular story is the story of the hero. And that is somebody that's fighting for good over bad. And we get all different versions of the hero story. You can get the coming of age hero story, you can get the underdog hero, all different types. And we resonate with that. And in a way, we see our environment like that. It all becomes a narrative. So beautiful. So beautiful. But what happened to us, and it seems like all of humanity, I don't know if Australian Aborigines, before they came in contact with Europeans, if they did actually, or settlers, I don't know what you call them, if they did actually have a sense of self. Sometimes when you learn about the communities, I'm not sure if they had evolved that yet. They had language, but I've heard that in a lot of the language, there wasn't such an emphasis on I and me and you. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that was evolved. But in all I can speak about really is European culture, is this sense of self evolved. That is not, I just don't know other cultures and how it evolved. This sense of self arose. The idea that I am in the body and you are in another body. And this is a narrative that has evolved with us and a belief system that we believe in. So most people, maybe even at this talk now, but maybe not, believe in this narrative of me and you, that there is actually a you there and a me here. So it might not feel like it's a narrative, but it is a narrative. Isn't that so interesting? So we, or you, are narrating a story of you, and then it feels like you are sitting there, that you are someone that's sitting there. Whereas that's not actually what's happening. That's the narration that you're telling yourself. I am sitting here. I came from the kitchen. I like or dislike this talk. I'm comfortable. I am 32 years old. I like nature. All these narratives. All these narratives. I am happy. I am sad. I am right. I am wrong. She is right. She is wrong. We like. We don't like. And their belief system, they're not true. And then they create a particular experience. And the experience is one of contraction. Who is this I that's sitting there? You could say there is an appearance of I. So some people speak about the I dropping away, but that doesn't really make a sense to me, because there's always going to be the appearance of an I, but it's not truth and it's not the experiencer. That I is thoughts and energies arising, but it doesn't equal a separate entity that's watching through these eyes. What is watching through these eyes, what is watching through these senses is beyond. It's undescribable. It's magical. You're also narrating a story of yourself and your environment. And it's happening so quickly. Your body is responding to things and giving all types of feelings and emotions. And that's not suffering to me, it might be to someone else. What the suffering is the attachment to that, the belief that it's true. It's not true. And ultimately nothing matters. This is so difficult for humans because most people are so attached to belief systems, maybe even more so than objects and other people. I just think of all the thoughts that you get agitated by, like political. For many years in England, Brexit created a lot of agitation amongst people. The idea of doing it or not doing it. It should be done or not be done. At the moment, there's something happening in the world. I got an email from someone the other day asking me what the C and the V is. And obviously I can't say it. But also, if you are listening, the person that asked that question, just be conscious that it most probably takes me about months to 6 weeks to actually answer my emails. I see them come in, and sometimes I read them, but I don't reply to them for a while. I have lists of jobs to do, and that one is very low. So sorry about that if you're listening. But just think about what's going on in the world at the moment. There's something that begins with a C and something that begins with a V that everybody's talking about. And just think about your attachments to sides in that and what you think is right or wrong. See and notice how that affects your body when you come across someone with the opposing idea. and then the attachment to that idea, I am right. It's not necessarily the attachments that's the problem, it's this, it becomes part of you. It is attachment, like I suppose it is attachment to ideas that make you. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, I suppose, like, we can have things that we prefer and not prefer, but then it's like this holding on to it, this I am right. And then it becomes part of you. It actually becomes part of your ego defense strategy. And it's like fighting for land, but it's an idea. So in the past, where we used to fight for land and we used to fight for property, now it's often that we fight for ideas. My idea is right, your idea is wrong. And it really affects people. They really take it personally, like it's about them, and it means something about them, whereas it really doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're attached to it or not, but if you're attached to it and making it part of you, then there will be what I define as suffering arise. Like, in the end, no matter what the subject, we can't see God's perspective. We can't see the bird's eye view of life, of what's happening. It's so complex and interconnected that it's impossible to peel out what's right and what's wrong. Like, say, if we took something that I disagree with. Like, if we took animal testing, that's a subject I feel it's really not right for us to do, to test on animals. But most things that we have is tested on animals, most probably. I don't really know. I know that all our medicine is, it has to be approved. But even like the colours in our clothes most probably are tested on animal, or cleaning products, like the glue that glues things together. Maybe even like this candle that I'm looking at, maybe that's been tested on animals. Like, a lot of products are most probably tested on animals. I don't know the extent of it. But yeah, just even this, I have a squirty thing that sprays water onto the plants. I mean, I'm sure there's some element of that was most probably tested on animals. And to me, that's a dark thing that we do, and I feel like one day we'll realise that it's wrong to do that to animals. But even with that, I can see that I can't see the bigger picture of life. Like, if we eventually get ourselves to a place where we can grow cells, which I think we can do, but like grow cells so they grow into animal parts or human parts, this could lead to something quite miraculous. This could, depends whose hands it gets into, but this could lead to like a really different human species. And I can see that it could also lead to something really dark as well. So we've got that argument. And then also I can see, that's not me saying that I agree with it. I would be on the side of not testing on animals, but I can see that through our experimentation with nature, like this, things that we could do which may be really beautiful and really creative and really amazing. Then the next part that we've got, which I can also see, is there isn't actually any animal there that suffers. Like the animal isn't alive. That's really full on, this part. What is looking through is consciousness, and there is no animal that suffers it. The body has pain, so the body creates pain, and then consciousness is watching that, so there is a consciousness which is watching it. But the consciousness is pure, is clean, it doesn't suffer. So the actual essence of the animal isn't actually suffering, even though the body is in pain. So I can also see, and there's also a deep knowing, that there is no animals suffering in animal testing. I still, though, feel and support lots of animal charities against animal testing. Yeah. But that's really miraculous. And then also, right here, right now, there is no suffering of anything. There is only this moment, and the animals suffering and the testing on animals do not exist. Yet still, this body will participate in actions against animal testing. Yeah. Yeah, baby, yeah. Okay, maybe that's enough now. So, yeah, if you have any questions, then you can ask the questions on my Skype channel, which is Lisa Cairns 12. Yeah. And if you want to call in, please call me. Calls get priority. Yeah.